Karen Reed murder trial. Jury site visit analysis. The Karen Reed trial continues to grip the nation. Reed stands accused of the murder of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. The central question remains, did Reed intentionally strike O'Keefe with her SUV, leading to his death? A key development in the trial was the jury's visit to the alleged crime scene. This visit aimed to provide jurors with a first-hand understanding of the environment where O'Keefe's body was discovered. The visit could prove pivotal in their final deliberations. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The jury was transported to the Canton home where O'Keefe was found dead. This location is crucial to understanding the prosecution and defense's arguments. The purpose of the visit was to allow the jury to examine the scene and assess the presented evidence in its original context. A panel of 18 jurors made the trip, traveling together by bus. Notably, Reed's Lexus SUV, the alleged murder weapon, was parked outside the 34 Fairview Road home. This home belongs to Brian Albert, a fellow police officer, adding another layer of complexity to the case. The jury's time at the scene was limited, lasting approximately 10 minutes. Every second was critical for observing key details. The visit was carefully orchestrated to highlight specific points of contention. During the site visit, the prosecution directed the jurors' attention to specific areas. They were instructed to carefully observe the front yard of the property. The prosecution emphasized the area near the fire hydrant and flagpole. These locations are significant to the prosecution's theory of the crime. They believe these areas hold clues supporting their narrative of how O'Keefe died. The prosecution hopes the jury's observations will reinforce their case. In contrast, the defense team guided the jurors to focus on distances. They wanted the jury to assess the distances between the lawn and various features of the house. These features included the front doors, windows, and driveway. The defense's aim was to challenge the prosecution's narrative. They sought to demonstrate inconsistencies between O'Keefe's injuries and the alleged SUV strike. The distances are crucial to their argument. John O'Keefe sustained severe injuries. These included multiple skull fractures. He also had 2 black eyes and a cut to the back of his head. Scratches were also found on his arms. The medical examiner determined the cause of death to be blunt impact injuries to the head and hypothermia. The nature and extent of these injuries are central to the trial. Both sides are offering competing explanations for how they occurred. Following the site visit, the court heard testimony from a doctor and a paramedic. Dr. Gary Fowler, a pathologist and former laboratory medical director at Good Samaritan Medical Center, took the stand. His testimony focused on Karen Reed's blood alcohol level. Dr. Fowler testified that Reed's BAC was 93 milligrams per deciliter. This is above the legal limit of 80 milligrams per deciliter. This evidence is crucial to the prosecution's argument that Reed was impaired at the time of the incident. Paramedic Jason Becker, a firefighter and paramedic, also testified. Becker recounted statements Reed made in the ambulance. He described Reed as expressing distress. This is the second trial for Karen Reed. The previous jury was deadlocked, resulting in a mistrial. The first trial jury also visited the home where O'Keefe died. The similarities and differences between the 2 trials are noteworthy. The pressure is immense to reach a verdict this time. The stakes are incredibly high for all involved. The outcome will have far-reaching implications. Karen Reed maintains her innocence. She claims a law enforcement cover-up is at play. Her defense alleges that O'Keefe was killed after a fight with his friends. This fight supposedly occurred at Brian Albert's house. Reed's defense team is working to cast doubt on the prosecution's case. They are presenting an alternative theory of events. The defense hopes to convince the jury that reasonable doubt exists. The trial hinges on several key elements. These include the physical evidence at the scene. The interpretation of O'Keefe's injuries is also critical. The credibility of witness testimonies is under intense scrutiny. The ultimate aim is to determine the circumstances surrounding O'Keefe's death. The jury must weigh all the evidence presented. They must decide whether the prosecution has proven Reed's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The house at 34 Fairview Road is more than just a location. It's a focal point of the entire case. The jury's visit aimed to transform the abstract into the concrete. They needed to see the layout, the distances, and the surrounding environment. The prosecution argues that the front yard is where the fatal act occurred. They believe the evidence there supports their claim that Reed struck O'Keefe with her SUV. The defense, however, paints a different picture. Reed's Lexus SUV is a central piece of evidence. The prosecution claims it was the murder weapon. They point to alleged damage on the vehicle as proof. The defense counters that the damage is minimal and inconsistent with the injuries. The SUV's position during the site visit was carefully considered. Its presence served as a stark reminder of the prosecution's accusations. The jury had the opportunity to visualize the alleged impact. Brian Albert's role is shrouded in controversy. His home is where O'Keefe was allegedly last seen alive. The defense suggests a possible connection between Albert and O'Keefe's death. Albert has denied any involvement. The defense's theory implicates others in a potential cover-up. This adds a layer of complexity to the case. The jury must consider whether there is evidence to support this theory. Hypothermia played a significant role in O'Keefe's death. The cold temperatures that night exacerbated his injuries. The prosecution argues that Reed left O'Keefe to die in the cold. The defense suggests that hypothermia could have masked other injuries. The medical examiner's findings on hypothermia are crucial. They help to establish the timeline of events. The jury must understand the effects of hypothermia on O'Keefe's body. Reed's blood alcohol level is a point of contention. The prosecution argues that her intoxication impaired her judgment. The defense questions the accuracy of the BAC results. They suggest that the testing methods may have been flawed. The legal limit is a clear standard. However, the defense argues that Reed's level of impairment is debatable. They claim that her BAC does not necessarily prove intent to harm. The statements Reed made in the ambulance are significant. The prosecution uses them to suggest guilt. The defense argues that they were expressions of shock and grief. The paramedic's testimony is crucial in this regard. The jury must interpret Reed's words in context. They must consider her emotional state at the time. The ambulance ride provides a glimpse into her immediate reaction to the situation. The previous mistrial looms over this case. It serves as a reminder of the challenges in reaching a unanimous verdict. The jury is under pressure to avoid another deadlock. The stakes are even higher this time around. The prosecution and defense have refined their strategies. They have learned from the first trial. This second trial is a new opportunity to present their cases. Reed's defense team alleges a law enforcement cover-up. This is a serious accusation. It suggests that evidence was tampered with or suppressed. The defense must provide credible evidence to support this claim. The cover-up allegations add a layer of intrigue to the case. They raise questions about the integrity of the investigation. The jury must consider whether there is any merit to these claims. The jury's task is immense. They must sift through conflicting evidence. They must weigh the credibility of witnesses. They must ultimately decide whether Reed is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The site visit was just one piece of the puzzle. The jury must consider all the evidence presented. They must apply the law fairly and impartially. The verdict in this case will have far-reaching implications. It will impact the lives of all involved. It will also shape public perception of the justice system. The world is watching. The Karen Reed trial is a complex and disturbing case. It raises questions about justice, power, and truth. The jury's decision will be a defining moment.